The beautiful Boise State Esports Arena, where tonight we are starting off with week 3 of NACE Rocket League, where Boise State is facing off against Bushnell University, and we got an exciting week of Rocket League here tonight. The stakes not as high, but nevertheless, the Broncos want to come out victorious here tonight. I am your host, Colin McDrunken, and once again joining me to call all the action, not on desk, however, but nevertheless a friend over the internet, I have Rich. Rad, the one and only. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, my friend. It is extremely awesome to be here, to be able to widen our gaze of a lot of esports. We've done, you and I, a lot of other titles, but now we get to see some Rocket League again. You said the stakes may not be too high, but I think it's a day of, we could say February 14th, love and enjoyment and just excitement, and I think that's what we might get the love of the game here today.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I do have to sort of ask that going into week 3, I sort of covered the topic already with going into not the stakes very high. Boise State had a bye in week 1, and then we played Stone Child, and that was a 3-0. And going into best of 5, I believe also there's not the standard lineup as well. I believe Hoosh going into this. Do you have any kind of frontline predictions going into this? Is this going to be an issue for Boise State to sort of handle out here with the new addition to the roster?
With a new addition to the roster, it really could go either way. It's the synergy with a new individual that they're bringing into those that are a little bit more well-structured. They could be allowing themselves to find some, let's say, revitalization with the way that they're playing due to a new individual. But since they did have the bye and had an unfortunate turn of events previously, now going into this week, they look to try and adapt themselves, evolve, grow with this individual, and allow themselves to be much more of a formidable team. And I didn't get to see that previous match that you had mentioned last time, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this initial few rounds and few maps that we do get to see, or games that we actually get to see, are able to start laying an understanding of what we have to expect from Boise State.
All right, definitely, and to always help them hopefully achieve this 3-0 victory in this best of 5, we have Doc's keys to the game, which in Rocket League are to set the play style, understand the rotations, play to follow up, and always, always, always have those sweaty comms. Doc's keys to the game are brought to us by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers to seek competition, play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games for you and the right competition. To begin your competitive journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. Looking to set.
And I mean, you yourself, I was going to jump in just because I know you actually get to coach the club team, which we're going to get to see a little bit after this one. But before we even get into that kind of topic, what are your expectations? I want to know, from being an individual who has that leadership type of role to now look at it to this varsity team and what they can bring against their opponent coming up today.
I know the varsity team is an extremely deadly squad, especially when you have the dig squad of Durtho, Instinct, Gill. I know exactly what they can do, and especially from a competitive standpoint of something like NACE or ECAC to what can be expected as the golden standard of what is the highest held Rocket League competitive tournament of CRL. I know exactly what they can do, and I know it full well. They're capable of. And going from a coach standpoint, I think it's sort of just like, I know they played a couple matches with Hoosh. I'm sort of expecting just this start out of a burst momentum type thing, because that's exactly what this team does really well. And as I'm saying that, Bushnell is the first to get a goal within the first 7 seconds of the game, but right off the bat, Durtho having that control in the air, gets an air dribble from the midfield all the way to the back of the net.
Yeah, it's just lightning fast between these two. As you can see, great air dribble. Again, that verticality and understanding how to coordinate themselves to get that goal into the net, as now we do look to take a look at this of Boise State taking a quick advantage of Bushnell. And you mentioned how they struggled previously. Right now, out the gate, going into this matchup, they are very dominant.
Oh yeah, starting off strong, this team always takes it. And yeah, this corner touch is just great. Getting around one, and Durtho is just the fastest to pick up. And it's the way they set their pace. You know, if you started off strong from the bat, you give yourself this cushion that is sort of unprecedented. Oh, I was wrong. Bushnell did not get a goal. It was Boise State that started off 7 seconds goal.
I mean, one of the biggest things right now, though, is what we can evaluate from such a swift 3 goals from Boise State is this defensive nature that's lacking a little bit from Bushnell. I like that they did have this 2 coverage here, denying that consistent goal again for Boise State to continue putting insult to injury, keeping it into that midfield and looking how it can be transitioned back over to the opposing side. But Boise State has not really allowed itself to get into any position to have to play defensively until finally you have Bushnell playing offense.
Phosphine looking at a touch. There was Hoos on the sidewall defense. Nobody real challenge up there. The Gill with the pass down to Dirt, though. And the ceiling shot. Wow, and this is something I'm going to expect the entirety of the series is the passing plays to be some of the most extraordinary ones we'll be able to see, because once again, like I said, this team is really fast. I'm going to mention again, this team's really good at making these, you know, really mechanical goals look so beautiful and just so right.
And it's really interesting to see how Bushnell's going to be able to combat against it. Gill already looking to get that dribble across and does get the goal off the crossbar, denies it, but a recovery here. Beautifully done by Hoosh to make sure that there is a follow-up onto it. Again, this is that great defense we're talking about, though, but even with all 3 sticking towards that net, they're not monitoring that recovery and that follow-up that can happen for another goal.
I know Gill's a little salty not being able to finish off the air dribble. Was hoping that Doomsday Dish would have came in clutch. It did not. Dirtho playing a little bit of fake. Now it's Control looking to get over 1. Does indeed get over 1. 2 in the net here. Hoosh kind of sitting in the back for pass. Dirtho get over 1. Hits the crossbar as their follow-up. Hoosh at the 50. Still has enough boot to stick with it. Doesn't have enough boost to finish it off, though. Gill kind of fakes the commit. Does get 100 boosts on the other side. Passes it back around. Crow has to play defense. Does get around 1 Boise State defender in the 50. This could be dangerous for Bushnell. Hoosh down for the pass. Doesn't quite get it, though.
Nope. Kicks it out towards midfield. You have Lucas getting some assistance from the rest of the squad, but unfortunately not really having too much boost. Goes in for the shot, and Boosh manages to get that onto that counter goal. And that is a first that we get to see here against Boise State. And it's still a long and a tall mountain to climb here.
Oh, yeah. 2-goal deficit is, or actually, no, more than a 2-goal deficit. Yeah, 4-goal deficit is not only just sort of morally, but also just gameplay-wise demoralizing, especially when you give the ball to Dartho off the ceiling. Gets 1 flipper set. Is there a second? The 50 was attempted. Didn't quite get there. Ball's kind of laying at midfield. Lucas with the shot off the corner here. Gill gets 1 touch. Now to get a clear. Has to follow up. Dartho there to take over at the 50 off the Crow. There could be danger. Somebody from the midfield. Lucas is going to get the redirect off to the sidewall here. Dartho still with Control, looking for 50. The back pass, actually the fake by Hoosh. Gill's up. It is defended by Crow, Evan.
Yeah, Gill was looking to try and get it to ricochet off that back wall for a reset, but unable to do so since the defensive position was quite dominant from Bushnell. There's still a lot of aerial play. Once again, continuing to outmaneuver the opponent. Crow looking for an opportunity to get it back in. Lucas holds it in the corner on the sidebar, denies that goal from just swiftly moving in through the smaller crevice, but a nice angle from up top, and it denied once again. An attempt. These shots continue to come out from Boise State on the net.
I just want to point out the amount of boosts that Bushnell has. 2 of the players are currently sitting at 0 right now. Just as I say that Phosphane gets 100, but Crow still sitting at the 0. While you look at the orange boost meters, and they're relatively full. So they kind of this lets me know the hope level that Bushnell has to get a goal here with just not having a whole lot of boost, and they got sort of a lucky break not being able to be converted on. But now Hoosh with possession gets 1 touch. Phosphane quick, a little bit of a pre-jump there. Now Gill to flick it over 1, still remaining possession. Nobody challenging. Gill might be looking for the bump. Does get the bump on Crow, but there is no follow-up from a BSU attacker.
A little bit more patience right now to recover onto this, acknowledging how they want to get back into the engagement. As you do see, Phosphine will be able to keep it into the side for the moment as Lucas goes back for recovery defensively. Again, consistently trying to deny Boise State from getting these more dominant positions and opportunities for a shot on the goal, and once again keeping it elevated for a follow-through. Tries to dribble it forward, but doesn't quite have control.
Bushnell really stepping up a lot more backboard defense that we did not see in the beginning there. 3 of those goals were basically air dribbles that Boise State was able to get. And ever since the 3-minute mark, it's sort of been a stalemate in terms of Boise State not being able to convert anything. Dartho getting a fake, getting a pass 1. Has a little bit of boost to do the 66. Looking for the flip reset. Does get it the pass. Hoosh is up and elevated. Will it connect? Oh, not.
It was a worthy attempt on the double flip reset. Now that they look to try and fall back onto this, there is reduced time to work with, as there is only 35 seconds, attempting another shot onto it, but Lucas gets a nice defensive hold, denying that as the 30-second remains.
Boston trying to play it out to the corner now. Durthrow looking for a little bit of Doomsy Ditch. Does get the touch. It's just a little bit off. Not quite able to get the goal line there. Would have been sick if it happened here, but as these last 15 seconds wind down, Bushnell's looking to just get one more, even if it's just for morale. That's all they really need, but Durthrow's going to get it clear to hope to connect a whoosh off the backboard.
Not enough boost to maintain it as they attempt once again. That will be a completion of this first game as it hits the ground, and that's going to be Boise taking it in this best of 5. And we do have to acknowledge, though, Boise State did come out blazing. Absolutely blazing. And then there was this moment of recovery and understanding, and I think that's something that we have to be aware of, is that Boise State now taking this significant lead. Can they look to do the same thing in this next game? Because realistically, there was at least a goal placed onto them. They were denied a lot of the incoming shots. The defensive play was starting to become a lot more aware of how Boise was playing. But at the moment, Boise really, really does look fantastic.
Yeah, those first 2 minutes, putting 5 points on the board is something else entirely to do. But I noticed Bushnell gets this goal here, and it really sets them apart in terms of that ability. Like, since that 3-minute mark in that goal, there were several times they were able to play backboard defense. They had that somehow miracle of a defensive play where all 3 of them were at least below 20 boosts and somehow managed to clear the ball. How that doesn't end up being a goal still eludes me, but in all honesty, Bushnell's got to be looking for something different, because they can't keep relying on that defensive ability. They've got to turn this. Their defense has to have the ability to convert those goals. They have to have the ability to put shots on net and eventually put them in the back of the net and score a goal.
Yeah, they got to flip the switch. And we'll see if this second game allows them to do that now that they've been able to gain the pulse of how Boise State plays. Gill, once again, taking this aerial position, looking to get it into the corner. Nice denial. No open shot onto the goal, since there has been a massive increase specifically by Lucas, really hugging close to that.
A little bit of bump on Lucas, almost gives Gill the clear away, but Crow looking for the double touch, doesn't quite get it. Now it's Phosphang. Lucas with enough boost. There's Durtha looking for the redirect, doesn't get it. Gill with the pass out to Hoosh. Hoosh just barely off the backboard here, and Lucas might have the opening off the sidewall. Crow doesn't get the follow-up as well, and that may be all for naught. Bushnell's quick attempt to score a goal.
Durtho looking to cycle back, giving assistance off the wall, trying to pair up, gets denied once again. Same thing coming out again here from Crow this time around, dribbling it back over. Little bit of a cluster towards this corner, hoping to get it out into the midfield to try and counteract to it, as you do have an elevated play by Durtho, denied once again.
It's Push not able to make quality touches. Able to get a pinch with Durtho, but Crow is quick to follow up here. Durtho looking for something interesting. Gill is able to collide with the side of the wall. Gonna go ahead and save it. Hoosh looking for the pass on the sidewall. Not enough velocity on it to get it quite out in the midfield. Hoosh looking for the bump. Doesn't get it as Gill goes soaring past it. Now here's Durtho. Didn't shadow there. Just goes to the straight up commit and is going to control the ball off the sidewall here.
This is a vast difference in play coming out from Bushnell this second game as they attempt to play offensive. Gets denied once again. Shot looking to line up cleanly. Crow towards that side angle, looking to try and get it into a cross, but there's nobody there to get it, and that's going to be Gill even further looking to defend and push this back over.
Foster with a really good interception there in the sort of back end of their own side. Crow looking for to get 50. Does get the 50. Hoosh now trying to get the bump. Also doesn't get the bump. And there's Crow getting 100. And another really good 50 with Gill. Looking for the pass out mid, but does get demoed. And nobody's there to receive that ball. But here's Crow with the defense again. Lucas with the one touch out. And there is no way any blue attacker is going to be able to get to that ball in time. As now Gill has control of the ball. Does get one flick. Oh, and it's demoed out.
Oh, demoed midair. Gill still attacking forward, denying Crow a position. Durtho looking to dribble it, but gets denied once again. Comes back in over top despite the redirect, and that's going to be a goal here that is well-deserved after how significant we've seen this changeup coming out from Bushnell.
So I do have to ask the question for you. What do you think is more significant, bump car or ball?
Always ball.
Always ball? Okay.
Always ball. That's just
Always
because
ball.
I used to play soccer and I was a goalkeeper and always just wanted to go after the ball. So that's a different type of mentality here. Granted, these are cars and it's a larger ball, but you know, hey.
And these ones can go supersonic. Oh, look for the
Great
Doomsday
style.
dish. Almost leaves their defense completely exposed. There's a bump.
Oh, no.
I believe that was Lucas that got the bump on Hoosh that allowed this to just be an open net. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Just manages to touch Crow there just in case anyways. I mean, again, the setup was still there despite it going in. Even if it were to go a little bit astray, they had full understanding of how they wanted to play this. And Boise stayed a little bit caught off guard. Now as they go back into this, you do see presence already towards that Bushnell side. Aggression, once again, swiftly by Boise State. Looking to try and line something up. Gil goes for it, but Lucas defends.
Gale's going to get the demo on Crow, leaving Dirtho a lot of real estate to work with. Dirtho getting it over one.
Oh.
Wow. Has the air mechanical ability and shows off a little bit of the ground one as well. Gets the fake over Frostbane, and yeah, there's that pre-flip that's just so beautiful.
There's no way to recover from it, too, since there's so many defenders further forward towards that midfield, as it's a one-score lead for the moment with 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. So things start to elevate in pressure on Bushnell to try and come back and make this an even 2-for-2. They're not letting it get nearly away from them as we did see in the previous game, though.
Oh, yeah, and it took so much longer to goal as well. They I forget what that mechanic's called, but pulls it off. Crow looking for the sidewall pass. Oh, there's Dirtho. Might have the read here. Oh, gets blocked out by Lucas here, and Gil's not trying to get the recover of Phosphane. The small touch out to midfield here is recovered by Crow. Right back down to Hoosh. Hoosh keeping possession, cuts in the midfield, gets it over one. Looking for a second touch. No, going for the boost instead. Perhaps a demo as well. Now Gil looking for a second touch, gets the flip reset, fakes the flip reset. Doesn't quite get the quality touch looking for. Now it's Dirtho's turn. Gets blocked out by Lucas.
Yeah, the dribble not really working out in their favor with Lucas still continuing to play. Looks for the flip reset, can't quite get it. Too distant from the ball and not having enough boost. As Boise State goes in for the attack, all three forward denied once again. You've got Fusfine looking to get back on this offense to cross over with Crow, looking for the bank. Can't quite get it lined up, though.
Hoosh, once again, looking for control, gets a weird bounce there. Emergency flicks over one. There's Dirtho, keeping it just a little bit out of the danger zone. Oh, and there's Crow with the big bump on Gil, and Lucas is there for the shot, but Dirtho saves it, and Hoosh is there to back it up to the pass to Gil. And now Gil to Dirtho, but the angle is just too tight. Ooh!
Knocked it back into the middle. Gil almost manages to get it, but this is going to look really challenging for the last 10 seconds.
It's only 1 goal lead. If Bushnell is able to rally here and do something, Lucas trying to get it over Dirtho, but Dirtho playing just the above defense, not allowing anything to get past them. Oh, and there's Gil with the pass in his last second. Unless this ball manages to stay in the air, this could be game, but it's only 1 goal here. But Dirtho now the flip reset off the ceiling, and there's Hoosh to assist it all.
So, okay, you have to say that that's a little bit of salt in the wound.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to have the ball hit the floor. Like, you just got to let it hit the field. And at this point, says, nah, I got a position. I got an angle. Boise State goes for another one, and they're going to be able to take a 2-point score lead in that game and now put themselves on a match point of this best of 5.
Yeah, that ceiling shot's just a regular for Dirtho there. But a lot closer game. We actually didn't see this heat match last turn, but I imagine if we did see it, it would have been a completely different story. I mean, I know it can be a little inaccurate sometimes, the UI, able to dictate the percentages. But nevertheless, what that kind of tells me is it was fairly even. And, you know, the numbers in my eyes are sort of telling me the same thing, that it felt even for like 3.5 minutes there.
And the other aspect of it is, too, and we do take a look at the data that we have in front of us, is the number of shots that were coming out by Boise State were still much more significant when you take a look at their counterpart. Bushnell, when they did have their shots, they were executed more effectively, and they also, I believe, in both occasions when we did see that value come, were catching them off guard. It was a little bit discombobulated from Boise State because of that type of overzealous play that they look to bring to just their overall structure between the three of them. And it's moments like those that if you see Bushnell continue to tighten this up and that they've managed to reduce that gap of play, they can actually really look to try and take a game away here from Boise State.
Oh, yeah, they can definitely do it. But as they're kind of winding down, this is a best of 5. And now that's 2 games to the side of Boise State. So they put Bushnell in sort of this, they have this fire underneath them. They have to, you know, it's do or do not here, as I say a lot, but they've really got to find that spirit in them to rally back and get forward again. They kept that game relatively close. It wasn't until that last second goal that you could sort of tell they gave up, you know, once that double commit happened, they're kind of like, it's whatever, and they just had one in the net. But keeping it to a 1-goal game isn't anything to scoff at. And like you said, if they managed to to combine something and keep this sort of bump gameplay that they have going on that's keeping Boise State on their toes, they might be able to convert this game and keep themselves alive for one more matchup in this best of 5.
And the interesting part, too, is you saw Boise State towards that later 45 seconds of the game be a lot more reactive than I would say proactive. Not to say that that's a discredit to them, but they were looking to just try and hold out. They knew that they needed to keep their advantage. They didn't want to allow themselves to become overzealous to be taken advantage of, as that previous goal entailed. But as we enter into this, there's already an early goal, again, out the gate in under 35 seconds. Boise State has that 1-point advantage as now we attempt to see if there's a retaliation, but Gil plays defensively to get that ball out of their side.
Luke's making a bit of a cut from the left side of the field, getting a pass out there. I don't know who quite flew past the screen, but it definitely was a blue attacker looking to get the cross shot. Here's Durtho still on the wall. Be a little bit of danger here, but with no boost. Gil does get the bump, trying to attempt to get it one flick over one. But Phosphane is there to play a little bit of defense, and a pinch with the sidewall there is going to give Crow a little bit of possession. The pass out of Phosphane isn't quite there. They had the open net.
Timing just milliseconds off, not able to get in line for that shot, so it is an opportunity now for Boise State to push it back onto Bushnell, who defensively has 3 close by. You have Gil even recognizing that they need to play back ever so slightly until they can look for a re-engagement, but Durtho plays forward, looks for an opportunity to get this back in with the assistance of Gil, going over the cross, but no shot is available. Actually does get the bump, but defensively is held once again by Crow.
There's a pass in midfield. Now Durtho looking for the shot, looking for the top left bins. Doesn't get it. Now Hoosh looking for the ceiling play. Gets counted out by Phosphane. Phosphane still sticking with it. Gets a really good catch off this. Wow.
Yeah, Phosphane took full advantage of that. Gil, again, very aggressive, goes for the denial. At this point, you can even see this slow motion moment just gives you the same type of feeling that I guarantee you Gil had, like, oh, yo, I missed that, fam.
Yeah,
there's nothing I can do about it.
You think you get that read, but then you don't expect them to get that touch right underneath them, and all of a sudden it turns into a way different ball game. Gil getting bumped now. Hoosh with the pass out of the midfield a little bit. Hoosh trying to re-attempt for the contest. So does Durtho, but Gil's going to be able to clear it out.
Yep.
Oh my God,
Gil
there's Durtho
sticking close. Yeah, Durtho comes out of nowhere from on high. Lucas, though, getting an opportunity for a free goal, but Gil is going to get defensively there to have some assistance. Crow is denied. This time, Gil will not let it get away from them as Durtho comes in, gets it off the crossbar, but no follow-up. The double tap isn't there, and Gil attempts to recover on the side with the assistance of Hoosh, and there is so much aggression from Boise State here.
Still winding down at this 2 minute 35 second. Not an open net. Gil get the defense. That is going to be one touch off the backboard here. Still a little bit in danger zone. Crow to get one pass off the sidewall here, but there's Hoosh looking for the pass out of Durtho from the blue corner. Durtho not able to get anything, but Hoosh is the pass. Phosphane's there to play defense. Lucas might try to elevate to get something, doesn't get anything. Durtho, the second touch, might be looking for a third. Out of it, just a bit off. Hoosh just playing a little bit of keep away here, buying a little bit of time for Gil on the defensive third to get ready, and there's a shot, but it's just off the side of the crossbar. Oh.
And Gil has been, with a couple of occasions we've seen on them, very responsive to knowing when they have to go in reverse. They need to play defensively. They can't allow themselves to let this get away from them. Crow now up top, looking to try and play elevation with the reset. Can't quite do it. Hoosh from the side attempts to set it up for Gil. Gets banked for one. Can they get the follow-up? No, again defensively by Phosphane.
Soft touch by Lucas. Leaves it out in the corner there. Gil getting around one. Lucas trying to get a cut there. And a bump on Gil. Hoosh having a little bit of control. The pass out of Durtho. Durtho to get one and done and leave it. Phosphane now playing down. Here's Crow with the bang out to the sidewall. Trying to get a read here. Almost gets it, but doesn't quite get it. Now Phosphane's turn. The pass out of Durtho. Durtho having control here. Looking to play down. Is there the boost to do anything with it off the backboard? But Lucas is going to clear out to the corner, which ideally is the safest place for the defenders to want it. Just like that, Bushnell's going to be able to clear it.
And Crow attempting so much here, really just pushing the line for what they can get out of this. But unfortunately, there is so much denial. Gil comes in with a cross, able to just knock it in towards the end of it. We'll get another look at it here over top. Crow can't do anything to deny it. A subtle tap right into the center of that keep. And that will be Boise State taking the advantage with a 2-1 score and 55 seconds to go.
Yeah, that blue defender gets really caught off guard there. having their ball on, having their camera on ball cam there can be really deficit to you because you have no idea Gil's going to be there. And you have to play that ball really fast. And as these last 40 seconds wind down, the net's left a little too open. And there's Hoosh to take full advantage of it.
And again, this is now where Boise State catches their opponent off guard, and the second that they do, it's just this snowball effect. Yeah. All three on this defensive side unable to gather close enough to deny Hoosh this shot. And now you look to try and get 2 goals in 40 seconds. That is a absolutely tall task. Lucas, though, almost manages to shut my mouth, and Gil plays beautifully on the defense to deny both shots here, despite the offense from Bushnell.
Gotta give Gil the defensive award of the year with that save right there. That was out of nowhere. I 100% thought that was going in the back of the net. And there's Durtha trying to make a read off the sidewall here. His last 10 seconds wind down. Crow trying to make a play happen here. Isn't quite do anything. Hoosh now at the flipper set, looking to get a backwards touch. Gil to send off the backboard, looking for a doomsday dish. Is it gonna happen? And there's Boise taking the 3-0 W over Bushnell.
Yeah, worthy attempt, though. I will have to say Bushnell was able to start, rallying together to play competitively, but we still have to, especially when we take a look at those last few seconds, Gil on their defensive plays was really leveling up. Once they acknowledged that there was some offensive pressure coming out from Bushnell, Gil says, all right, I have to pick up this role. I need to make sure that we deny any sort of opportunity for recovery, and does so beautifully.
Yeah, especially that last save as well. And then, even those macro plays of being always this sort of the third man that was in the backfield, right? Because you always sort of looked at there, and Gil sort of, I feel like as a player, has this really strong sense of knowing when to be this, this push and pull type player of I'm going to push up, but I'm also going to pull back when needed. And, that's sort of a feel I think every Rocket League player needs to establish to have a really good team coordination, especially in a 3 sense. And yeah, if there was a defensive player of the game, it would almost always, in my opinion, go to Gil, because some of the saves this guy pulls out is insane.
And we'll get to take a look at the lovely MVP, and we'll say it's Gil. There we go. Player of the game.
That is player of the game. Definitely Gil absolutely deserves it this series here. The ICU player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Gil is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game.
I always love seeing what their major is. It's computer science.
Yeah.
And when you're playing a game like this, just velocity, angles, all those types of, calculated plays, it just fits right in line with the education, and I don't care what anybody thinks.
It definitely fits, but it's crazy because I've definitely had that question for a lot of these Rocket League players, and I've had that question asked to me as well, of sort of, do you account for speed and everything like that? And you don't realize that you're doing all that in real time in your head, because as much as I'd love to brag, I'm some Albert Einstein character, or I'm able to push pause on reality and do all this math calculations in my head. That's not the fact of it. It just sort of happens. But ending out this series, do we have anything to close out to this game before we head out top 5?
I mean, realistically, when it does come to how Boise State played, continue to maintain this type of prowess and dominance. And at this point, the only thing I would say is once their opponent starts to gain, recognition of how they're playing, don't allow yourself to become a little bit too overexposed, as we saw those couple of goals come through, but major props to how they recover from it. So everything that they're doing is going into the right direction. And for their counterpart, again, they started to understand the trend of their opponents, and that's all they can really look to do themselves moving forward. So ultimately, all in all, just continue to work on those basic skills and even those keys to the game that Doc continues to talk about.
100%. Before we leave you out the top 5, make sure after this break to come back. We still have some Overwatch tonight and another matchup for Rocket League as well. And as we prepare to kind of take a step out of this game, we have our top 5 plays of the game, which is presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs offering a 20K bonus and the degree of your choice paid for by the Idaho Army National Guard. The Idaho National Guard is the best team. Go and reach out to them at iGuardTwitch.gaming. See you guys later. Make sure to turn back in a little bit. Like I said, this team is really fast. I'm going to mention again, this team's really good at making these, really mechanical goals look so beautiful and just so right.
It's really interesting to see how Bushnell's going to be able to combat against it. Gill already looking to get that dribble across and does get close to goal off the cross. Nope, kicks it out towards midfield. You have Lucas getting some assistance from the rest of the squad, but unfortunately not really having too much boost. Goes in for the shot, and Bush manages to get that onto that countered goal. And that is a first that we get to see here against Boise State. And it's still a long and a tall mountain to climb here.
Oh yeah, 2 goals.
Attempting so much here, really just pushing the line for what they can get out of this. But unfortunately, there is so much denial. Gill comes in with a cross, able to just knock it in towards the end of it. We'll get another look at it here over top. Crow can't do anything to deny it. A subtle tap right into the center.
Looking at a touch, there was Hoos on the sidewall defense. Nobody real challenge up there. The Gill with the pass down to Dirt though, and the ceiling shot. Wow, and this is something I'm going to expect the entirety of the series is the passing plays to be some of the most extraordinary ones we'll be able to see because, once again, like I said, this team is really fast.
All three on this defensive side unable to gather close enough to deny Hoosh this shot. And now you look to try and get 2 goals in 40 seconds. That is a absolutely tall task. Lucas, though, almost manages to shut my mouth, and Gill plays beautifully on the defense to deny both.
Greetings and hello, welcome back to the Boise State Esports Arena, where we have, and I debated you when I last met you, it is not Overwatch, it is Rocket League. It is the NACE Rocket League matchup that we talked about last time around. And just as before the first time that we met as well, I am your host, Colin Junkin, and once again joining me to call the action here is the one and only, the great Rich Rad. We're starting off on another NACE best of 5 matchup. This time around, it is the club team that we sort of mentioned here before. And going into it, this is your first time seeing these players. And I want to hear personally from you your sort of expectations going into this, being not as high as a division as our varsity team is, but still sort of in terms of being right underneath it, right?
Long time no see, by the way. I mean, it feels like it's been an eternity, my friend. But yes, in regards to the expectations of this being the club team, and I'm going to spin a question back to you momentarily about it, but it's one of the things is you have to kind of look at the fundamental aspect of things. We saw a lot of tactical use when it came from the varsity team, what they've been able to bring to the table, aerial dynamics, and just finding some really, really key, valuable openings to take their opponent down. And now when it comes to, you know, this club aspect of it that you yourself have been able to oversee, I'm curious to see what type of similarities but also significant differences that we're going to have into this, and also what the club might also look to when they, you know, take a watch of some of the varsity play.
And sort of go after that second question first. In terms of going after what the varsity play is, there has been multiple occasions, sort of being I sort of see my role more as a coach manager position, but sort of seeing that role being in the Discord calls and communication with varsity players while they're scrimming or while they're doing other things like that, or just in general of watching them play CRL as well. And we can hear them when we're in the stands listening in arena. And it's not only really cool for the players to see as well, but it's also a level of expectations that they get to see with their eyes. But hopefully, not only just in what they can get from varsity level as well, they can take advice from Doc's keys to the game, which in Rocket League are to set the play style, understand the rotations, follow the play up, and sweaty comms. Doc's keys to the game are brought to us by Dropping Gaming, the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through fee and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Dropping Gaming is the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. Remind me of the first question, actually. I just completely blanked on it.
No, you're okay. Just like seeing the variation and the differences between, you know, the teams, but also just like your input being an individual who gets to see it on a regular basis. You mentioned about how they get to see and watch. But overall, I'm really curious of those significant factors in relation to the fundamentals and how that's going to change ultimately as we get to watch them play.
And this is actually not our full squad. So this is a NACE matchup, and I mentioned this to you before, but there are 2 different club teams that we have. We have an ECAC and a NACE. So today we have the NACE squad, which unfortunately one of our players is not able to make it in. So we do have a substitution from one of our NACE or one of our ECAC squad members, which will be Hey Rico, which you would have seen them last week when you played. But the variations are there, right? And I think the biggest thing, the variation that I see, is the quality of gameplay that I see from the opponents as well. I feel like when I watch a lot of varsity gameplay, the opponents are always, wow, those players are really good. I feel like they know what they're doing, but I feel like the biggest variation is the quality of gameplay you'll see from opponents in a lower division like ECAC and NACE.
And as we enter in onto this, again, a best of 5 that we do get between these 2 teams, where Boise State looking to try and keep the ball away from that center field and aggressing actually towards their defender. Killer, though, needing to be very cognizant, sticking close defensively. A little bit more of a passive play from both these teams thus far, as you do have Heavy Rico looking for that introduction to a couple of decent shots.
Rodriguez looking to take up the wall. Wasn't quite too successful. Now there's Hey Rico for the follow-up here. Looking for the shot off the sidewall. It is pinched in for him. And the Broncos go up 1-0 in the first 30-ish seconds of this game.
Yeah, hey Rico just getting it off the wall, and as you said, just clips it right between 3 defenders. No big deal there. As an early lead comes out in the first 40 seconds, looking to see how their opponent's going to be able to counteract against it.
Right off the bat, here's Trigo's playing it slow a little bit on this sidewall here, looking to get over one, doesn't get it. Killer bot was going to go up, decommitted from the ball, and there's Enzio. That's going to get the clear. Tui, if I mispronounce that name, or sorry, trying to get the clear, doesn't quite get it, as Hey Rico's fast on the ball.
Yeah, Enzio now going to look to quickly get back. Also give the... Oh, no! This is where we have a little bit of a miscommunication there between the two, and unfortunately that's going to allow the opportunity for the opponent to get a score, unfortunately, onto Boise State as an issue of their own.
Trying to get... I have a feeling it was... You're trying to get this clear around this ball, and, you know, probably a little worried there was somebody behind them. Didn't quite get it though, but you know, you just go back to the 0-0 format anyway.
Killer up front, quickly gonna keep an eye on the ball as there is a nice shot down the center. Tree Goat and Enzio work in tandem to make sure they deny that shot onto it. This Tree continues to play elevated for an opportunity to take a shot onto goal. But now as it's knocked back, Hey Rico, who has more often been the very forward, aggressive driver in this for those shots, looking now to have to fall back and give some assistance because Enzio is there along that side wall, really putting a lot of pressure defensively.
Rico still committing to that side wall. Didn't quite get the touch, looking for Killerbot, trying to get one more. Killerbot also getting a bump, several of them on Hey Rico here, and Trigo's getting the 50, getting another one. Trigo sends the teammate flying as well. There's Trigo's trying to look for a pass out mid, and sort of just nobody making a full commit to this ball, and there's Rico with the shot and the read off the crossbar here.
And this is when you talk about slow and steady wins the race. There's a lot of understanding and coordination of how they want to get the ball out of there. Not really too heavy hits onto it. You saw one that came over top. It really did maneuver it. Hey, Rico's like, all right, I've evaluated the situation. I've got the boost. I'll play aggressive. The goal is open, and they get the shot.
Playing for the 50 then. Dirt works out totally in their favor. A little missed touch by an orange attacker there. Enzio trying to make the read. Gets played over. There's Hey Rico with the clutch bump play that gets them saved from where their goal here might have, and gets the flick over one. And it's going to get the hat trick for him.
Yeah, what a clean play. That was so beautifully done. Just this dribble across the center, just over the bumper of the defender, making it a very, very flashy shot.
And definitely putting them up 3-0 with about 2 minutes 30 seconds left. And this might be a kickoff goal as it barely touches the sort of rampart on the goal. And there's Trigo's first of the series. Yeah, Speed's going to beat out there on the kickoff, and the 2 other defenders not able to do a thing.
That's where you just throw that to the wind and allow yourself to look at what's ahead with 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Still a decent amount of time to get a few goals. Tree once again repeating history, but unfortunately Killerbot's going to deny that access to getting a 4-goal lead here. But now some presence by Hey Rico near, underneath. Both defenders are there. This is becoming a little challenging, but some great recovery by Newmont to be able to deny those couple of shots.
Enzio gets one bump, keep it up in the air, giving a little bit of time here as all 3 Boise State defenders rotate back. Trigo sending a shot over. Tat was there for the wait, and Hey Rico's getting a little bit of touch on the ball, slowing it down, and Tate gets another shot. Not able to quite do anything with it,
yeah, there was so much backboard use there.
Yes.
Just consistent reattempts onto it, but now this cross into the center. Is there going to be a tap? No, it's going to actually overshoot. Tree now looking to dribble it back in on high, looking for a defender. Manages to get some great presence. Newmont preventing Boise State from getting an even further lead than they already have, but they've not been able to get it out into this midfield. Another shot attempt by Hey Rico, but defended once again.
There's just so many bodies on this orange goal line here in a pinch. Almost a double team pinch there, and the pass up to Hey Rico with the shot. Gets the demo, but they're going to pay for it anyway as they go up 5 to, I believe, 0 here.
It's got the one. I mean, technically, I would not count it because it did accidentally bank off of their own positioning. So we'll still give it to Newmont though.
Yeah,
we now look into the last minute and 20 and see how this face-off's going to go. Killer going to play very forward with the assistance potentially from Tatui, and can't quite get an angle on it though.
She gets the shot, trying to look for a pass at Enzio. Enzio gets the demo though anyway. Hey, Rico looking for the self-pass off the sidewall here. Both him and Trigoats go flying over the ball. Enzio trying to make a defensive play, gets a shot off the backboard, gives the possession away to Newmont. They were not able to convert a goal there. Enzio missing a little bit of touch. Now it's Hey Rico's turn. Gets one off the backboard, might have the follow-up. It's not there. And the shot for Trigoats is just a bit off as well.
Yep, Tree attempting to get it towards that center field. Enzio, nice touch, but no one on the opposing side to get across. With Tree Goats now going to go back into this, but Tatui is there, watching closely. Hey Rico still putting a lot of presence. 30 seconds to go. Attempts that boost upward, but can't quite do anything now defensively. Enzio is there to deny it, and this is still a well-rounded play by Boise State, despite these couple of shots coming through. That with these last few 15 seconds, Boise State's going to get one last go at this.
Pat gets a touch off the sidewall here. Trigo's getting a little bit of interception. The pass at midfield. Enzio slows it down and is going to put another point on the board. The number 6 is on that twice with 6 seconds left to go and a 6-1 scoreline for Boise State. I don't like to be presumptuous, but it's looking like first game is over.
I mean, with 6 seconds left at this point, it's kind of like what you and I talked about when it came to the first game of the previous one for the varsity team. You just want to get a goal or some type of value to be able to, elevate your morale. And in this case, we do know that it is going to be a 5-round deficit. You can take a look here at the analysis. There were just so many attempts coming out from Boise State over Newmont where they were not able to truly get a chance to compete against it. And again, this is that type of energy that we were seeing from the varsity team among these club members.
And definitely seeing these club members come out on top as well. It's sort of always a good thing here. I believe for NACE as well, actually. I'm pretty certain our last week was a bye as well for our team. So that's something that apparently Boise State teams had in common in terms of Rocket League, having byes first week. And this is week 2 for these teams. And essentially what was really astonishing to me is sort of having these teams that didn't have their core composition, right? We didn't have our main 3. We have a substitution in there and still able to sort of make these passing plays and make these connection plays. It is that connection they made last semester playing with each other. They have the chemistry to play there and they do it really well. And, it sort of shows that they were able to get that 6-1 scoreline pretty easy over Newmont.
It's a combination of that, but also just adaptability. There is this understanding of where you have to be able to allow yourself to be let go a little bit and be free to your players and to your teammates that are bringing something different to the table when you have somebody substituting in, and it's really showing. Hey, Rico now up top looking for a shot. It goes into the goal, only 12 seconds in, off the sidebar. And again, it's this open corridor that's left open. The defenders can't quite seem to deny those shots, and it makes an early lead opportunity. And hey, Rico, once again, doing what they do best and finding those early goals.
Oh, it might be another kickoff goal right out the bat. Here's Trigoats with this little kickoff charm that got going on. They just can't seem to guard him.
I feel like this is deja vu.
Yes, a little bit.
Moment from game 1. We're going to go back into it. We'll see now how it is. 2-0. Newmont going to have to come in after already 15 seconds and 2 shots on goal.
And just real quickly, I do want to touch on what you talked about the adaptability play that they have, because Hey Rico is sort of that player that is a little more aggressive on the ball, right? And that's something that as a team they've determined as well, and sort of let this play style develop and really flourish and be sort of 2 really supporting players, which Trigoats and Enzio make up that space really well and sort of allow Hey Rico to be this fluid state player around the field and be really aggressive and really pass at the time. There's Trigoats looking for the shot, but doesn't quite get it, just a bit off.
So close. And there was even that subtle moment of taking a deep breath because it looked like the defender could have even almost tapped it in themselves, but barely gets it out. Hey, Rico now up top onto the wall, attempting to try and just tip it in, but can't quite do so. looks for the reset, falls back, and that's going to be ball in midfield as Enzio really just keeps it centralized for the moment.
Hey, Rico was going to make the commit off the sidewall there, decides to decommit though. Killerbot's going to get one touch, but eventually blocked off by NZL. The ball stuck on the midfield here. Tat getting a 50, leaving the net open, but Killerbot's quick to recover. Still in a danger zone. There's RD making the save, and now NZL looking to go up the sidewall as well. Looking at the ceiling pinch, didn't get it. Oh, and Killerbot's going to bump a teammate. And that's not going to turn out disasters for them as Hey Rico now has possession, looking for a full boost and a solo play.
Much more formidable defense, though, as Hey Rico dribbles it in. No one's up top. That's a free shot on goal. The inability to get elevated there due to the low boost makes this such an easy and clean play. And once again, Hey Rico really understanding just the well-rounded offensive prowess.
Yeah, 100%. Even if that is even if they do have boost there, that's going to be a difficult shot for them to defend. Trigos getting the demo on Killerbot. Looking to play up with Enzio. Enzio making the mistouch there, but Trigos was quick to follow up in the 50 from Killerbot as well. Enzio having to play a little bit of defense, does take over the ball a little bit. Looking to follow up. Here's Hey Rico getting one touch, looking to get a pass or get it past the other orange defenders. Gets it past one, doesn't get it past the others. Enzio looking to slow it down. Now has to play an aerial defense. Trigos now off the backboard. Hey Rico not even quite making the touch, but has the passing ability. And there's a, yep, there it is. There's the shot, and another hat trick as well. 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and the thing is that Hey Rico, even though they are playing so individually well on this offense, you can see that Enzio is there if anything goes awry. If there's a defender, this bank into the center to get a nice cross onto the goal. So it's not just this one-man type of show. It's really understanding how to utilize the rest of your teammates when needed, if needed.
And that, yeah, that's sort of what I touched upon as well, is that this team almost enables Hey Rico to play this play style that he has and sort of be this really aggressive player and make these touches, and they're able to turn these, those mistouches that, Newmont was able to make, and it turned into Hey Rico being in the perfect positioning for a pass there. And that's exactly what I think NZO and Trigos are doing during this series.
Now, Newmont needs to be careful. Hey Rico. Oh. And everyone clustered together around the goal. A little bit of a misfire there leading into that shot. It's going to go just wide as Hey Rico draws back, knows they need to give space, regains some boost. Trigo's going to stay up front, though, tries to get it off the wall for a potential recovery. Second attempt isn't there, and now Newmont pushes it out.
Killerbot looking for the fall, doesn't quite get it as Hey Rico's going to get an easy clear here. Looking to go up the ceiling, might have one touch, does get a touch. The pass, Enzio doesn't quite connect. As they try to preach up, and Tat is going to miss the shot. Enzio slowing it down a little bit, could be dangerous, but Trigos is there to clear it. Looking for a second, does get the second. There could be a fall from Hey Rico, looking for the read. Oh, it doesn't quite pan out for them.
No, and again, Trigo, as midfield play as we've seen, has really drawn back and has read these offensive plays extremely well from Newmont. 1 minute now to go. Great Enzio play again defensively to get it onto the backboard. As He can't really get any sort of clean shots onto the goal. Boise State is just playing this game perfectly to secure that they can find themselves at a 2-game lead and put them onto a match point. Now Trigo looks for the cross. Is the setup there? And Enzio gets it just in time despite the 2 defenders.
And a really good spotlight play, putting the spotlight on Trigos and Enzio, showing they can also show out as well. A really fast pass from Trigos there, knowing exactly where they got to put the ball ahead of 2 rotating defenders. And Enzio quick to stay in that midfield and be really close to the net there and get a really good follow-up. Putting Boise State up 5-0 as his last 30 seconds wind down. Tat is going to get a little bit of mistouch and leave Hey Rico.
Hey Rico says 30 seconds, fam. I'm going to look to try and get it, for even though it's denied by Tatui.
Almost in their stellar solo play there. RD looking for the pass out midfield, doesn't get anything. This orange side is looking to struggle a little bit on the defense here.
A little bit of a bounce off the ground gives a chance for recovery here. Hey Rico still sticking close, playing it into the wall. This will not be long for this world as the dribble attempts to get it back into a position, but the demo denies Enzio from getting the bank. Still a lot of aerial play available as Hey Rico tips it up over towards Tree Goats and still keeps this in play.
Oh,
there it is. It was close. It was close. You can see the setup there.
Yeah, you could see NZO sitting right there looking for it. Once again, starting this 5-0. Once again, not a whole lot of shots, but a lot of goals nevertheless. I mean, we see 2 shots from Tree Goats, 1 goal from NZO, only 2 shots, and 4 shots from Rico. And you don't see a lot on the side on Newmont as well. And I know NZO should be credited with a couple saves there. I know they definitely got 2. That definitely kept the scoreline a lot farther away than it should have been. And I really love how we pointed out the ability that team was able to make with each other, that they're able to play so well off each other. And the thing I really liked when I see this gameplay is just the connection that I talked about before. They take over each other really fast, and it's not the something of, I imagine if you were in their comms ear, you could hear it. Probably isn't a whole lot of frustration. It's more or less like you got the better touch, go for it. You saw that not a lot in the game, but it definitely happened. And I feel that's the type of stuff that makes a really good team really compatible with each other and makes them all the more deadly.
The other thing that we also have to kind of take a pulse of is when we look at Newmont, they're having to play about 90% of the time a reactive game. They are always on the back foot, and they have to just be extremely pivoting on what Boise State's going to do. And because they've been able to really gain an advantage for a majority of this, it's been a super, super large challenge for them, and they haven't really been able to find the stride to counteract that momentum.
Heading into game 3, a match point as we see Tree Goats and Hey Rico up there. And there's Tree Goats creating a little bit of a deja vu play from the first game as well, as they get a wild touch that is pinched in by Newmont. And that's going to put Boise State up 1-0 in a match point here.
Curious to see if it's going to continue leading in that initial minute dominance that we see from Boise State, taking full advantage before anyone can gain their bearings. Tree now lightly touching. That's a great counter play, though, by Killer Bot, just flying at Tree Goats, not allowing them to gain any sort of composure here and making it a 1-1 score.
The 50 did not quite go in their favor. The car ended up going sideways instead of forward. And Boise State ends up paying for it. But still 4 minutes and 30 seconds left here. The game is not over by any accounts. Hey Rico gets the 3rd touch here, trying to get the flipper set, isn't going to quite get it. Keeping the ball on the blue side. Here's Tat with the shot, and it's going to be saved out by Tree Guts as Killer Bot tries to get the follow-up. Does indeed get the touch, but it's going to be put out of position in the end. Hey Rico looking to get a pinch, slows it down a bit. There's NZO looking for the demo, but no offensive plays to come from it.
Yeah, controlling the momentum, keeping it towards that center position for the shot. It goes off the sidebar twice, but there's a recovery from Tree Goats. Banks once, banks the second, and it's a pure, clean lineup here to allow Tree Goats to get this score.
Putting it right over Killer Robot as well. So close to saving that ball. Almost a 2-prong passing play from both of them right there. Also getting the demo as well. Disrupted a little bit of the back line and the rotation of Newmont. Probably the boost conservation as well. And NZO up to Tree Goats. Looking to set up a passing play. Isn't able to quite get it. Now Tree Goats, the 100 boost, looking to make something happen. Gets 1 touch. Gets 50'd out by Killer Bot. Now RD going to get beat up by NZO. NZO trying to stay up the follow-up. Doesn't quite get the read. Might have a shot potential for the side of Newmont. And it is negated by Tree Goats.
Tree Goats keeping a very watchful eye on the positioning here. NZO does set up a little bit of an opportunity, but there are all 3 close in proximity to deny any sort of attack from Newmont. But this is a little bit more challenging. Boise State now trying to press the attack. Hey Rico goes for it, but a nice tipper coming out to deny defensively and not allow Hey Rico to get another shot on this goal.
NZO looking to play one off the wall. This is going to touch down to Tree Goats. Tree Goats with the pass back out. A little bit too far back for Hey Rico to make any play on it, but to make the back pass to themselves. Attempt does get bumped slightly here. Still has to follow up and a lot of room to work with. Might be set up for a solo play or a teammate in the mid. Gets the flipper set off the ceiling. Oh, gets interrupted by NZO, but it's still in the danger zone. And Newmont not able to do a thing about it besides this. Oh, and there's
but NZO swiftly comes in to deny it from Killer Bot. NZO now going to look to try and give assistance to Hey Rico. This reposition, unfortunately, isn't going to be valuable. Down below, though, Tree Goats comes in and gets the hat trick themselves.
A little bit of change of pace there. Really good pinch, actually, by Hey Rico, and NZO gives an easy read to Tree Goats. And there's a change of pace for us right there. That is Tree Goats' first hat trick of the game, and not a Hey Rico.
Wanted to make a name for themselves among all the glory that Hey Rico has gained. With 3-1 scoreline, 2 minutes and 20. More than halfway through as Hey Rico looks to cycle back, giving assistance to Tree. A couple of bounces here. Demo comes in. It's a 3v2 on the offense. Can they just get it? The few
What is happening?
minor distance away from the goal, and
What
they
is
are
going
just,
on?
oh no! They can't find an angle onto the ball to get it out of this dangerous position. Hey Rico plays it calm, cool, and collective, and just at this point allows it to happen on its own.
I actually was going for the play there, but got bumped off of it as well. If that angle was just changed slightly for that Newmont defender, that'd be 100% a save. But now here's NZO looking for the solo play, gets the shot. And what a beautiful one nonetheless, getting it over to Newmont defenders.
Yeah, NCO is like, all right, friends, you got a hat trick, you got some goals, I'm going to get some value, I want to contribute, let's just call it a day.
Get your one, and that's all you really need to do. Oh, a little bit of fake kickoff. Giving Tree Goats a little bit of possession here, looking for the pass here. Here's NZO, close, gets bumped out of the way, completely obliterated and taken out of the play. Now here's Hey Rico with the solo, getting the flip reset, faking, getting the musty flick to Tree Goats. Wow! What a pass!
And this is now where you can start feeling that momentum shift. This is where Boise State, which we actually see quite a bit, at least when it comes to just the players in and of itself. The momentum that Boise State, as just a university, can gain from their players can be so monumental if the opponent is just allowing it to continue to happen.
Yeah, the opponent, you know, and Newmont as well, started taking advantage, getting a little bit more bumps perhaps, and there were a couple times where a lot of quality shots that could have been taken, that could have given them the difference in it all, really could have changed the mindset for them as well in this game, and they just weren't taken. They were missed shots as well, and that's really the difference between staying in a game and letting it spiral out of control like this one.
And it's more so at this point understanding, especially now, that the focus was a lot onto Hey Rico. There was a lot setting it up, but now that Boise State has been able to gain this momentum, there's a lot more transitioning with their passing. They're looking to try and gain these angles, and it's this level of synergy that's continuing to elevate, and it's really hard for Newmont to gain a bearing onto this. NZO gets another shot and a hat trick themselves off the crossbar, and this is just, again, you're rotating the love right now. It's Valentine's Day, and you're rotating the love for these three.
That's what we love to see, especially on Valentine's Day. 8-1 here with about 1:13 seconds left. Definitely looking a little desperate for the side of Newmont here, as RD is not going to be able to quite make the quality touch they're looking for. Hey Rico and Tree Goats make a little bit of collision there. Not able to get the NZO, not able to get the quality touch there as Hey Rico looking for a solo. Almost looking for another musty play. Tree Goats trying to get the fake. Ultimately, the defense for the side of Newmont is going to pay off. And now they got to make a counterplay here. Here's their chance. The defense played out by NZO. It's hovering in front of the net. NZO credit with another save. And just like that, the pressure is completely gone from NZO.
Hey Rico looking for the dribble, gets a subtle touch, a second one on the way in, but unfortunately that one overshoots the sidebar. And now, with 30 seconds to go, this is just a moment for a morale boost to say we just want to gain a goal onto Boise State. We know that it's a massive deficit right now, but Killerbot, aggressing forward, wants to get it out of this defensive position. They want to attack this blue side and can't quite get it out even just at this midfield, with NZO getting another shot, a bank in the open. NZO again, it's this constant dribble towards the keep to see if they can get one more to make it insult to injury. This will be a conclusion to the game. A dribble comes out, one last attempt, but that is Boise State being able to take all three games once again here. And you can take a look at the scoring, just how offensive and powerful Boise State were against Newmont.
A completely different side of Boise State scene right there, and that is Boise State taking Game 3 of Week 2, the first showing of Boise State Club Team Rocket League in NACE, for this semester here in the spring of 23. And what a showing that we definitely got out here tonight. And especially starting off fast from the bye week as well. You know, you expect the momentum sort of die out there, but no, nevertheless, Boise State picks up the momentum. And the Idaho Army National Guard is the proud sponsor of Boise State Esports. Top plays are presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 jobs offering a $20K bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming.
Oh, boy.
You know the conversation that's going to start.
Yeah.
And I got to know the answer.
I mean, the player, this is a tough one. I'm going to say, hey, Rico, but there was a lot coming in for both Tree and NZO towards the end of this. You can't discredit them. So at that point, it's whoever the jury and the judge are going to be able to make the final decision on.
Which is definitely not us. I know that for sure. It's not me up here, but yeah, I definitely 100% agree with you. I feel like Hey Rico was probably the one you look at the entirety of the series, but that last game, you know, Tree Goats and NZO getting a hat trick of themselves is impressive by its own. So I think either player could really go either way, and NZO especially, you know, same thing as Gil's getting the defensive player. I'd give that to NZO this time around, and it's Tree Goats getting it's kickoff goals.
Yeah, it's those stealthy kickoff goals. That's the nail in the coffin. And right when I saw Tree Goats, I'm like, I know we talked about Hey Rico, but these were so clean, just precision at its best. And you know, hey, why not make the goal when your opponent isn't even ready for it?
They really are morale destroyers, honestly. Like being completely honest, when a kickoff goal gets scored on you like that in that fashion, they are morale destroyers. The player of the game is brought to you by the Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central Credit Unions, helping members achieve financial success. Tree Goats is the Idaho Central player of the game. Congrats to you and all the players who participated in today's matchup. And GG to you, boys. You did a good job in week 2 of NACE, and we're looking forward to what you got next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me to try and relate to how impacting that could be, the only thing I can closely relate to it is back when I used to play soccer, that I was a goalkeeper. If anybody would get a shot between the legs, and you just you just feel so deflated. Like I know exactly how that feels. Just like, nah, like that just didn't happen right now, but it totally did. And overall, again, I know you're going to even kind of look to lean into what is it that this team can continue to do. Keep their prowess. Again, we said this about the varsity team. Their aggression and their ability to play offensively is something that is a real strength to them. It's just always being able to not allow yourself to become settled in those ways, and that adaptation, that word specifically, will be touched on a little bit. And like you said, the synergy that they can continue to develop. As long as they can keep that moving forward, they're going to, continue to shine the way that they have been.
Oh, yeah, and definitely, we might add that Docs key specifically for this team as well, just sort of as the momentum of our day here on the casting table here tonight. And to leave us out, we have the top 5 plays of the game, which are presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs, offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree choice paid for by the Army National Guard. They are the best team. Reach out to them on Twitch or iGuard Gaming. From everyone here on the desk, from me and from Rich Rad, we had a lovely time here tonight. Thank you for joining us this beautiful February 14th. And to all of you, a good night. These top.
Can they just get it the few
what is happening?
Minor distance away from the goal, and they are just oh no, they can't find an angle onto the ball to get it out of this dangerous position. Hey Rico plays it calm, cool, and collective, and just at this point allows it to happen on its own.
I actually was going now off the backboard. Hey Rico not even quite need to touch, but has the passing ability, and there it is. There's the shot, and another hat trick as well, 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and the thing is that, hey, Rico, even though they are playing so individually well on this offense, synergy that's continuing to elevate, and it's really hard for Newmont to gain a bearing onto this. NZO gets another shot and a hat trick themselves off the crossbar, and this is just, again, you're rotating the love right now. It's Valentine's Day, and you're rotating the love for these 3.
That's what we love to see.
Now I'm going to look to try and give assistance to Hey Rico. This reposition, unfortunately, isn't going to be valuable. Down below, though, Tree Goats comes in and gets the hat trick themselves.
A little bit of change of pace there. Really good pinch, actually, by Hey Rico, and NZO gives an easy read to Tree Goats. And there's a change of pace for us right there. That is putting them up 3-0 with about 2 minutes 30 seconds left. And this might be a kickoff goal as it barely touches the sort of rampart on the goal. And there's Tree Goats' first of the series, guys. Speed's going to beat out there on the kickoff, and the two other defenders not able to do a thing.
just yet. This stillness is just a phase. I need to find my purpose again. It's been hard to keep my composure, and I really wanted to be over. Innocence and summer rays come back swinging. feels like we've been aged. I feel so secluded. I really wish that things got better. It's been hard to keep my composure, and I really want it to be over. In a sense, in summer race, we come back swinging. When it all comes crashing down on us, stand your ground. Faith is something that is really hard to find. So take it on yourself and keep your head up straight. Brighter days will come, so you better be prepared. When it all comes crashing down on us, crashing down. I'll take the blame. I've seen the world go down in flames. I felt the strain of every loss I can't reclaim. Our steps retraced from when we went our separate ways. I've missed these days. I never thought we'd see this place again. I know the feelings always fade, but nothing else could make me stay. It's not too late for us to slip away. I've walked this road, the one foretold would lead us home. Our fate's unknown, but time will mend our broken bones. I've held the weight of all these years spent in decay. These times are strange. I never thought I'd see your face again. I know the feelings always fade, but nothing else could make me stay. It's not too late for us to slip away.
Hello, welcome back to the Boys Say Esports Arena here tonight, where I have bamboozled you twice. We are back with some Overwatch 2 in the NACE division here, and we are starting off against Missouri State in this best of 5. We're taking the best of 3 in the matches, hopefully to prevail all in all. And hosting tonight is Colin McJunkin, and joining me to the virtual desk is Rich Rad. And I gotta ask you, starting off strong, we've had 2 W's here today for Boise State. We're looking at a close out of third. What are we, what are we looking to do?
When you're on a momentum like that and you are feeling that confident in those previous games, you just want to continue to keep that energy up. That's the biggest thing. I mean, as we continue to see them perform and what we got to see last week even, I'm curious to see if there's any evolution since we were able to get that intel. We had a lot of adjustments when it came to certain role selections, a wide variety of hero pool depth. And, you know, it's also that I think we're kind of on the edge of our seat waiting to see what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, and going straight into it, wasting absolutely no time. We're starting off strong. Getting right into it.
We're going to be going into Lijiang Tower, too, yeah.
So starting off, you know, pretty standard map for control, especially. This is played a lot in the, you know, the competitive field, I feel like. I honestly feel like it's always the same set 3 maps, which is, honestly, you can't blame them at all going for it. But I believe we don't know exactly who's what color here yet. Do see Hanzo. First fights are being taken here. We do see a Pharah as well. So a little bit of those missiles coming down. This camera. Baptiste as well. Okay, so Boise State's in the red.
And that's the interesting thing that I'm really focusing on is what the tank selection is going to be, and it looks like it's going to be Kel actually on the Ramatra here. We did see some adjustments where Matt Merck was playing a variety of different things. The Wrecking Ball, we had the Roadhog, we also did have this Ramatra, but we're taking, again, like I mentioned, that role swap here, and Kel going to be the one maneuvering in this tank position, which, you know, realistically, Boise State has been doing very, very well with integrating this Ramatra into their composition.
And Ramatra just being a very strong hero in of itself always helps taking full advantage of it. I'm curious to see, yep, there's Courage switching off the Sigma, looking to play a little bit faster role, probably looking to dive this Ramatra a little faster, get around them, or just be annoying the back line. Looking to see what they bring out here.
I mean, the Wrecking Ball adjustments have really been quite influential in how it's worked alongside when you have somebody like this Tracer from Cap to aggress onto Boise State. But Boise State in a very healthy position. They're approaching their ultimates. They have 4 of them about to be online. They're the only one really dragging behind for the moment, and consistent pressure being put onto Courage, who's really withstanding a lot of this incoming damage onto the point, 36% in climbing, and that's finally going to be Flame Tank able to get an early elimination. But with Kel generating enough to go in with the Annihilation, it will overwhelm any hope that Missouri had and just completely nullify their engagement.
That buff still, even with the buff coming out on Ramatra, it's still a very strong character and possibly, you know, arguably one of the strongest tanks around in the game right now.
I mean, the adjustment to the Annihilation and making it the maximum cap of 20 seconds was going in the right direction, but it still has so much offensive prowess, especially on a map of control like this, that there's no way that you can ever enter into it whenever it's active.
Yeah, and I was talking with a fellow caster, Artie, who's much more versed in the Overwatch world than I am, and in their opinion, it still just was not enough. They want to see Ramatra.
There's a lot.
It
has a lot to rework it for sure, yes, and workshop, but at this point we do finally see Missouri managing to gain momentum into this. They have found the opportunity to take down Boise State, but at a 92% gain. So Boise State has been able to encapsulate a majority of this and can really look for a couple of few engagements. They've got the Rocket Barrage online. They're mainly just going to focus on getting Kel's ultimate from the Annihilation and look to just lock this down.
And Missouri also having the coalesces there. Could possibly counter the Annihilation as well, negating a lot of that just passive damage that it does as well. I see Goblin causing a little bit more havoc on the point here. This ball trying to do a little bit of damage to the Mercy. A little pick, drawing a little bit of tension away, fighting them on 2 fronts right now. There's Coalescence committed.
And that's something we've seen consistently from Goblin, where they do take this flanking position, but unfortunately, the aggression has come out up front. Coalescence guarantees that Chosen is eliminated, so this will be a back up and regroup. And really, there hasn't been a lot of ultimate game out by Boise State thus far.
No, it's still kind of staggering on it. As Pulse Bomb's also about to come online this fight as well, and Deadeye could be a possibility going into it. Kel is at 85 here. And templing
the reposition. Goblin gets that redirect to find a more optimal position to lay down the rockets. Couple of shots, can't quite find the pickup, and that's going to be a huge shutdown. Flame tanks overwhelming, denying the rocket barrage, and now it's solely remaining onto Kel with this annihilation and Chosen on the Kitsune Rush. 25%. Goblin should be able to get back into this for one last contention. Flame tank goes down, which gives an opening for Plato to continue aggressing forward. Kel Kitsune Rush is going to be a massive, overwhelming force. Despite this minefield coming out from Courage, there's no way to turn that back.
You get the point. You're sitting at a 94-91 here. As this ball is going to be looking to cause any bit of disruption, they've got to make a commit on this point as they're running overtime. This ball trying to buy time for the team. Here comes out the Mercy ult as well. Will it be enough?
It's going to be very challenging. This is a massive opportunity for Boise State just to continue to lock this down. Again, they really knew how to rotate. They gained 92% at the start. Even with the lost fight that they had after the swap, they still looked for the bigger picture, the macro game, with Goblin having that rocket barrage, synergizing both with the Annihilation and also the Kitsune Rush from Cal and Chosen. Everything falls into place, and they guarantee this first round.
Yeah, and you know, I really did like to see the way Missouri State and the way Flame Tank really contested as well. Getting a lot of vital picks till the very end, until this last fight, that proved such a problem for Boise State, and slowing down the progression as well. They pushed it to the very end of sort of this 99 to 91% push.
I mean, the big thing is what they were able to do against Goblin. I mean, you've got to somehow stop Goblin from playing as offensively and in that flanking position. That's just going to bring maximum value for Boise State. Now, Flame Tank going to bring a Pharah of their own, potentially going to look for a displacement rocket alongside Courage on this Wrecking Ball to get them off the bridgeway, playing up front. But Plato has the angle, diving in with this Winston play from Cal. Flame Tank at least gets one, but the res is there from Lyric, so they've brought it back to a 5 versus 5 contesting onto the point. Cal extremely low, but getting continuously topped up by Lyric.
Yeah, Lyric having to dive away from Goblin there to make sure that Kel stays up. Our contesting point, nobody's quite taken it yet into this fight, and there aren't a lot of major picks that have happened quite yet in the past 5 seconds. There's Goblin and Plato getting 2 encouraged to trade it out. This is the very winnable fight for Missouri here. No ults currently online for either side, but Plato could have post-bombed this fight to help finish off the ball. Ball survivability is just absolutely amazing.
Big thing to really pay attention here, though, is the fact that they lost Lyric early. Boise State was at the disadvantage, only relying on Chosen, and they were able to persevere through it, finding those critical picks with Plato rounding the backside. It is 17% handed over to Missouri, but the long run, Boise State gains the advantage.
Courage trying to dive Kel there, getting a little bit of pick damage, looking to get a little ult charge here, looking at 96%, will 100% be available this fight. There it is. Kel trying to dive, ult goes extremely low. Oh, gets it anyway. Wow.
The aggressive Winston play with a diving Tesla cannon mid-air on the support guarantees that it's only going to be Fat Whale managing to fuel this team, and there's not enough to go around. Plato and Goblin can just play on 2 separate points, and Fat Whale can't do anything about it.
No, 100%, but they do have, you know, with Courage's ult kind of being committed there, what exactly do you think they lose going into this next fight here? As Goblin is being an absolute menace.
Yeah, Goblin needs to be handled. It was put in check earlier by Flame, which they are looking to get the second one. These direct rockets just whizzing by. The pharmacy composition just going head-to-head, but the rocket barrage is available. Only the Kitsune Rush being needed right now to once again claim dominance. Plato on the low ground, even getting pepper damage onto the aerial position, is making this extremely oppressive for Missouri.
Being very persistent, this Mercy's definitely having a difficult time having the protection they need to keep. And there's a switch. No longer see Flame Tank trying to challenge in the air. Was able to shut down Goblin last time.
There's a lot of swaps that are going to come through. Courage and also OnStar swapping to this Junker Queen Lucio play to get the mobility. The rockets are going to rain. It's going to get 2, and they can't deny it despite the Kitsune Rush That was a Hail Mary of a play by Whale from Missouri to switch this over in a small choke point, but unfortunately it doesn't bode well for them. The damage comes through on high, and that will just completely deny accessibility for Missouri, making this an easy first map win for Boise State.
An extremely easy first map win, but not as easy as sort of this first half point into it all. Let's take a look. Yeah, here's Flame Tank. This most likely was the double pick they had towards the very end of the map. Oh, it's the Deadeye.
Yeah, it's the Deadeye denial with the Mercy play and Ramatra. All right. Not super flashy, but okay, that was a little flashy since they have
getting
that.
The job done. Getting the job done. That's what it's all about. You know, it doesn't have to look pretty if you're being efficient, and Flame Tank was most definitely being efficient within that first point on control. And it being NACE and looking on to go to hybrid here, what are you expecting? I know it. I mean,
again, the big thing, not only map selection, I would look to lean into King's Row, but I more so am curious of what the composition is going to look like, because typically, like I mentioned before, we had Kel specifically being on the tank role today, whereas what we saw previously when it came to last week, it was a lot of Matt Merck with the Wrecking Ball, the Ramatra, and even when it came into that hybrid map when it was previously on Paraíso, it was the Roadhog that was brought in, a unique mixture of a different composition, where the Roadhog, even with the nerfs that recently came in with the patch, it makes it not as viable, but it's something that Boise State has opted to work with the composition alongside either Clear being on a Widowmaker, or even rotating in this type of Sojourn play alongside the Zenyatta. So there's a ton of different things that, are accessible for Boise State, but it's what they're going to really land on to face off against an opponent, which they've already demonstrated that they have quite a read on.
And I think the last time we specifically hosted a NACE match as well, I believe, I don't remember exactly who was playing Take at the moment, but it was Zarya that was on King's Row. And they completely dominated the competition that was there and proved that Zarya still is a handful to handle when in the right hands and supported by everybody else. And I believe it was also Plato that was on the Sojourn, so that's obviously going to be an issue for you if you can't shut that down. But you talk about the accessibility that Boise State has, and that is true in the sense of the characters and the people that they have that are accessible to their lineup, and the fact that there's so many people that are able to dual role compositions and still be so deadly no matter what they end up doing. And I just feel like it's so difficult to handle, because I remember us having a distinct conversation as well. You start to get a read on one person and how they play a specific tank or a DPS, and then you go swap, and oh wait, you just lost everything you have, because they're going to play slightly different and make slightly different micro choices than what you would expect.
Yeah, and having that flexibility is something that can really catch your opponent off, that isn't able to, especially when we talk about the wide array of what's accessible, because again, I commented briefly on it when we talked in the map of control about the Wrecking Ball, what that has been brought to the table, their overall adjustments that have been made, the tweaks to the ultimate activation being a half a second quicker. Subtle things like that make tremendous value, especially when we talk about zoning off, which is why I was almost surprised that we didn't see Boise State look to lean in with that. But Cal opted to go more so for the Ramatra so that they can utilize that, which was played very, very well. The Annihilation is still an extremely strong ultimate to have into your kit and to the composition, despite what it looks like. But as we are entering into this, as you were incentivizing that it would be King's Row, we will see that come to fruition, and curious to see who is going to opt to play on the attacking and defending side first, since this will be a map selection here going over to Missouri.
And starting off just looking at the past schedule of NACE as well, within the first week it was against IVC, which was a 3-0. And then it was the second week that was against Guam, and that was a 3-0 as well. And that was the IBC was a 3-0, but it still felt somewhat. So far, Boise State's had such a dominating performance over every team they've met in the NACE League right now. It just doesn't feel like anybody's been able to slow down their roll. And the thing that I really saw Boise State do against Guam, especially on a hybrid map that was Paraíso, was they kind of picked them apart. Like, they never really fought on a singular front together. When you start having your healers start diving your DPS and winning fights, and you're so split apart, you can't slow down and say, hey, let's slow down for a second and walk away from this and regroup. I feel like you forfeited it from there.
you create this level of perplexity, and it's unable to really be read efficiently by your opponent. As we do enter onto this, it will be Missouri on the attack while having Boise State on the defense as blue side. Cal gonna opt to go in for this Reinhardt play, which again, something that's still viable in the mix, and a little bit of a what we would call collegiate Northwood strat, but more so on the defensive side here, bringing out the Bastion. This is such a play that we see a lot within the collegiate realm that does bring a lot of value, not to its traditional form, since Overwatch 2 does have the ability of a more mobile Sentry turret, but it's still a lot of dominance here coming out from Boise State on this defensive side.
And I still feel like that turret is such a deterrent against anyone really pushing too far, because you can get punished if you're caught out with an escape ability or your tank's ability to sort of save you a little bit. And even when Sigma doesn't play that shield, it's going to be shredded in 2 to 3 seconds, probably faster than the Sigma can pull it back to save its HP.
Nice early pickup as well, Goblin on this Junkrat.
Yeah.
If there's no way that you can break through this shield on the Reinhardt and you just continue to allow funneling of these grenades, and even just this play that Goblin's doing right now, ricocheting on these inner walls, utilizing the angular momentum of the grenades and over this pitch to make sure that they can guarantee just increased damage, and nearing that ultimate, which surprisingly, I have to say, Goblin's really not near, but everybody else is, and Plato's going to unleash the ult as well.
Getting a little bit chip damage, not at least 3 off the bat, getting a little bit of backline damage as well. 3 ultimates for Boise State to choose from, and a total of 3. There's Kitsune Rush that's committed as Kelch is going to dive in. Look at the pick. Wow, is not able to die.
What?
This
is the fastest swinging Ryan I've seen in a while, and what a miraculous play by Whale. I have to give tremendous props for the support player, despite this now going a little bit awry for Missouri and a recovery from Boise. That sustainability to withstand the Reinhardt from Cal was unreal.
Was Graviton Surge committed that fight as well? Because Courage is back down to 0. Or back down to 30, essentially.
It might have been used and either stunned out. The Flux hasn't really brought anything to this thus far, with the Riptire now up towards the hotel, playing the inner wall, waiting to drop down onto someone, eluding the incoming damage, and gets the 2-piece.
And still just causing so much havoc. Being caught out the second fire strike, almost inches away from landing it, but Kel is not done. Looking for the pin, doesn't quite get it, as OnStar is going to be able to get to safety. And Missouri looking to regroup here, still sticking on this Sigma. However, the Sojourn has been introduced as well, but that first fight they introduced was not able to get a whole lot of value. And here's Kel looking for a shatter. Gets blocked out. Wow.
What a denial by Courage. Huge read, but when you read one chapter, there is always a second to follow. Plato with the Kitsune Rush is just melting anyone that is in the crosshair. And despite the Cal play on the Earthshatter not working, everything else does.
This is really like a repeat of week 1, with Boise State looking so dominant on these comps. Just being so annoying, forcing out the Mei, the self-preserve there, still holding on to the last one. Kel causing a lot of havoc, getting the pin on the Diva. There's Plato down. That's the first pick. They could have an opportunity if they managed to do something. The final couple seconds, pushed into overtime, and the entire team is gone. And that is Boise State's defensive size closed out at a astonishing 0% taken on the side of Missouri State.
And you have a team kill at the end of it, making an even larger statement. I do have to say, that was a stellar shield, though, coming out from Courage, denying that Earthshatter. Just, again, knowing that read, you see him swivel around the corner and says, all right, I'm going to deny that. But again, the biggest part of it is when it comes to an ultimate economy and just understanding the rotation of these ultimates. You go in aggressively with Kel. They put a lot of their defenses up. The shield is active. Everything looks like they've mitigated it. But then moments later, you're going to have the Kitsune Rush. And the synergy with the Bastion coming out makes it much more dominant on that aggression. And again, you're in a choke point position. That doorway is going to be funneled with so much damage, and it just is so hard to nullify.
It is, and you have to find a way to break through. Whether it's a pick or whether you're waiting for your ultimate to build up and find something, or finding some way. And quite honestly, Missouri was not able to do that. Whether that was ult stacking it, not finding it, being ult traded out, and that Hanzo staying alive was quite honestly a miracle and a half. But ultimately taken down, and Missouri just not able to find anything. And now it's going to be a real, dare I say, sort of cakewalk for Boise State to get in, because all they have to do is get one tick. They really start to walk in with the dominating performance they had on defense. I don't see how it's not going to be a repeat here on attack. It's more than look like game 2 is going to be a wrap.
The biggest thing that you're going to have is an early takedown. I would really like to see maybe like a Sojourn or something that can get that one-shot, one-hit potential despite the Sojourn being nerfed. Defensively, you need to try and stop this initial engagement that Boise State's going to have. And then once you gain that, that's where you take the ultimate economy advantage, the defensive position prowess. You start wearing down on potentially a shield that we might see again. I would not be surprised if we have either the Ramatra coming out aggressively by Boise State, or if they're going to look to try and stick onto this Reinhardt, which played extremely dominant. You can already see there the outline. The Reinhardt is present in this composition. And another thing to also be very aware of is you're going to have this Pharah play again, and that's another massive key point that will allow Boise State to take this basically from the get-go.
No pharmacy as well. Also, the Baptiste is going to be looking to get them in very fast here as they're waiting for this Ant to come back online. And the TP play is there. Kel's already on point, splitting the team a little bit. They are not together.
Well, this is there was a TP charge, but down below, Courage on this. Oh, that's unfortunate. Wow. I mean, and again, this is one of those things where Missouri, again, played a little bit too passive.
Yeah.
You should know how that previous engagement was on the control map of how Boise State was going to play. Granted, the TP charge up top is something we've seen on rare occasion through a lot of the collegiate realm, whether it was in championship or homecoming. It's one of those unique plays that happen too far few in between. And there wasn't anything really that managed to help, like a pin, but the fact is like you still have the tank immediately onto the point, attempting to block any sort of incoming damage. You have your flankers look to go around the backside to collapse onto those from Missouri, but at this point they were too far back or locked in the hotel that they're either dead or gone.
Yeah, that was 10 seconds of gameplay that Missouri ultimately just got really split up. And I really like what you said right there, with just you don't see that a lot. And maybe that's exactly why Missouri didn't really sort of expect it right there. Is they're sort of right on the back foot. They realize, hey, we have to win this fight. Like, we have to do something here. And Boise State manages to pull out the unexpected, and, gets this weird little comp with Goblin taking a lot of attention here, almost kind of took the attention of a lot of DPS. And then here comes this TP play, and just like that, they're on site, and they sort of C9 it all.
And that's what the Pharah really brings in, strategy-wise. It's either you want to take the ground game or you want to try and focus on the Pharah, because either way you have to commit to that decision. And if you opt to go for the ground game, you're going to need enough to either break the shield on the Reinhardt or use enough of the architecture to deny the sightlines. But if you do opt to go for the Pharah, it's moments like those where the Reinhardt is free to do what they want. They stand on the point. Then this flanking position, either with a Tracer or a Sojourn or Sombra, anything of the sort, could just do what they want on the low ground. And you just need to either get the value pick onto Pharah early, or you just opt out of that decision and take somebody low enough, quick enough, and eliminate that tank from the equation.
I really want to get your opinion on this briefly. And when I mean briefly, I saw a Doomfist there. I didn't even see the Doomfist on the screen. That's how unimpactful it sort of was. But what's sort of your opinion on that pick? And could that have really done anything, or was that sort of a desperation pick that was sort of brought out?
The Doomfist was an interesting one. Like, looking back at it and wondering what type of value they were going to bring into it. I mean, if you're looking for, let's say, something that's going to cause disjointed positioning or chaos in, let's say, the back line, or dividing a team because of the mobility that you bring, it's viable. Like, it can actually be, and is something that you can use to separate your supports in the back or deny entry. But the fact is that you had a TP up to tower. They were going to come directly from the high ground back onto point. They had the Pharah to counteract it, so the Doomfist can't do anything to it. It's almost as if you kind of lost the chess game after move one.
Yeah,
That's how I looked at it with that decision. You committed into it, which wasn't something that's going to bode negatively for you, but when it was going into the composition and play style that Boise State brought to the table, it didn't matter then.
Do you think it would have helped if they sort of would have realized, hey, we need to win this first fight right off the gate. We can't really lose this because they only need one tick here. Would there have been a better or sort of a different pick that you would have personally liked to seen Missouri State bring out here that would have given them a better chance to not be split like they sort of did so fast?
I would have really liked to see a shield tank. I would have liked to see either the Ramatra or I would have liked to see the Sigma. Or they even, to be fair, you could have kept the Doomfist and the composition that they had, but play up towards door. The second they see Symmetra and they look to try and get planted, aggress. At that point, try and cause disruption to the disruptor, and deny them accessibility of taking the first step. If you can do that to Boise State on situations like that and make them have to go back to square one, it's an option, but it's still a tall task regardless.
Yeah, it was. They were put. I sort of like what you said it before. They were put in checkmate before they even able to realize it. And outside of there, they got absolutely taken down and headed on to match point here in Escort. New map. It is nighttime. I do like the nighttime version on this map. The daytime is not as cool looking.
The daytime's a little jarring. I'm going to be very honest. When I played it the other day and I saw it in daytime,
we were bamboozled.
Day and night.
We were the ones. Oh,
we be here on Circuit Royal and it's day and night. Oh, and that's definitely going to be a clean shot there coming out from Goblin up top.
No.
And this is the cheeky play though. This is the cheeky play that Boise State's going to do. Now they're going to fall back, hold the corner, keep the Sigma, and they're going to look for a reset.
They're playing really far and really aggressive here, and Fatmo almost lost their life there, which for sure would have slowed them down. But Plato's gonna get the revenge counter pick, but it gets traded out again. A little bit of Sigma battle going on the right side here. Courage yet to be really pushed up right here. Nobody's really kind of pushing up here. As Courage taking this fight with Kel.
This is where a little bit of the Boise State overzealous play is going to be capitalized on. Missouri was able to get those couple of picks, very forward positioning with the play from the Widow on Goblin. Now they're going to look to try and stabilize here, holding towards this initial checkpoint, and this corner through the shop is a key place, but if Kel goes down because Lyric can't keep them up, this is going to be an easy checkpoint here for Missouri, and now you have to strictly look to the ramp to try and counteract it, and Boise State know it. They are playing much more defensively behind this wall because they have to wait, but Courage gets 2 and 1 with the accretion.
Big picks there. And they really decided, hey, we need a third DPS. So let's go ahead and bring out the Zenyatta here.
Boise State's got to stem the bleeding right now because they are unable to stop this momentum, and they've got to find something to cauterize it. The Flux now going to get 2. A wave even comes out by Plato, knowing that they're going to get low and barely elude the incoming damage.
And Missouri State taking full advantage of this, getting the first checkpoint, getting it up to the second point here. Even if they really lose this fight, they've gained a lot of momentum and a lot of time gained. And even if so, they do end up losing this fight, it doesn't look like Boise State's able to get a whole lot of ground here, stuck in this checkpoint a little bit. And here goes Kel kind of targeting supports down here, looking to get some mini picks, does have Flux. There are quite a lot of low HP people in this fight here. Might be able to be looking to do it without it. Courage looking very low, trying to shield dance here, but isn't able to do much about it. As Plato's going to get 2 and Chosen getting the kick a limb. Now Plato playing a dangerous game with this Widow. Oh.
That was probably the best that Missouri could have played it, though. Nice shot coming out from Plato. But again, when you talk about going up ramp, that is an extremely challenging position to work your way through this turnabout right here. So the fact that Missouri was playing as offensively as they were to get the advantage was tremendous. Goblin, though, now needs to be put in check, and Missouri has to recognize that. Even threading the needle here through these panels is such a viable option to just continually get 3 shots onto the opponent. And then when you have Plato looking for a crossfire onto the Hanzo as well, that's just a win-win for them.
Yeah, playing really deadly here, finding these ins and out angles here, and the momentum that it seemed Missouri had has been stunted for the time being, and here comes out Dragon looking to separate the team, solo out the tank here. Courage gonna have to survive by themselves for a little bit, but not for very long, as Lyrics and Plato are gonna pick up one, but that was Flame Tank picking up Goblin though. But Plato's gonna get the third, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
And Cal is going to really aggress forward to keep them into their spawn. They're wanting to deny a solid regroup here, and what they're looking to truly have given is some sort of ultimate from Missouri to break out of this defensive position. Because at this point, they do have Ford to come online, but with that pickup, Boise State has to fall back. But what a shot by Goblin again on this Widow.
Give the Venomite damage there. Here's a charged up shot, getting Courage low. Courage though, there's a little bit of trades here, but Missouri State does have the respawn advantage. But they do have double support ults here.
They've got the respawn advantage, but the problem is that they're going to have to use so many ultimates to get out of this position.
Yes.
That's the reason why Boise State are in such a strong position, because the only way that Missouri gets out of this is by committing 1 or 2 ultimates. And if Goblin keeps finding shots like this, it won't matter if they have the ultimates.
Goblin taking a really aggressive position here. Could be flanked, and there it is. But being saved by Kel right here, sticking on to 40 HP in a dream. Here comes out Sight. They're looking for a shot here. The team is really split here. They do get a little bit of advantage. There's Plato looking for the shot. Doesn't quite find it. There's Plato low.
Chosen gets the shot onto Flame as well. Goodness me. Dragon Strike amplified into those that are separated from the spawn position. Minute and 15 seconds, and this is looking dire for Missouri now.
Oh, but Kel could have Flux here, which could stunt a lot of momentum they have gained here. Dropping down. Looking for the accretion, does get 1 pick, looking to get a pick at the very least on Fatwell, doesn't quite get it. But that is a lot of time. By the time Boise State sort of confronted Missouri State, they had 4 minutes going into this, and now they're down to a measly 45 seconds?
And they've lost both support ultimates.
Yes.
That is a tremendous loss, and with this 40 seconds left, I don't foresee Fat Wheel or OnStar being able to get that online, so they have to solely rely on Cap, which does have the Dragon Strike. Oh no, the Flux actually rises them out of it, and they get the tail end of the damage, so this gives a chance for Boise State to recover. The Flux is still available by Kel, who's going to hold on to it and carry it into the next fight. And now Missouri, with 20 seconds, have no ults to their name and have to climb up this rampway.
Oh, here's Goblin trying to get a peeky shot through the gaps in here, getting a little bit of Widow battle, takes the upward shot, isn't quite land it, and I don't think there's any Missouri State attacker that is going to get there quite in time. And that is round 1 complete for the side of Boise State. Now it is their turn to see if they can do any better. Getting 1.5. That's the goal.
The mark is set. They were so close to getting towards that next checkpoint. And if you had Missouri enter into the hotel, this would have been, I think, almost a completion with the way that Missouri was playing. But Boise State able to finally draw back far enough that they were not allowing themselves to get staggered, allowed them to come back in as a full 5 to stabilize, and like I mentioned, cauterize that bleeding. They held the rampway, and then at that point played all the way to the spawn, which was just forcing out ultimate after ultimate, where Missouri could never have the upper hand. And now as we swap sides, I'm curious to see if there is a way that Missouri is going to be able to deny this level of aggression, and more importantly, see if we're going to have Goblin once again on this Widowmaker.
We do not have a Goblin on
interesting.
And I did like to point that out, where also that the ultimate, but also the quality, the level of quality picks that Boise State was getting onto Missouri. It felt like every time you look at the kill feed here, it was Plato getting 1 or 2 headshots, or it was Goblin doing a lot of damage to Courage and giving them the opportunity and the availability to get a pick on Courage and give them an opening or some backline pick. And then you also have the 3rd DPS of the Zen, which we do see Missouri sticking with here.
1. Attackers incoming.
How's
Now
Missouri
4 minutes on the clock.
Stop the payload.
Oh,
Going
they're
over
going to
the
try and play
top.
over wall. Yep, they're going to use the Winston Genji play, but Flame Tank is ready for it.
completely putting a stunt onto the attack that Boise State believed they had in Missouri here. Here's Goblin also going for the dive, looking for a pick here. Is really low HP and is not able to do it. Is instead stunted out. And here's Lyric trying to do the same thing here.
Yeah, this is going to be a composition swap. This was more of an attempt to do like a cheeky kind of one-off play, and with them not being able to gain any value from it, Boise State's going to opt back. They're going to go Goblin, onto the Widowmaker, Plato back to it, and their supports cycling over to the Zen, Kiriko, and look to go head-to-head right now. And a couple of shots, Goblin almost takes the head off of Fat Whale, and looks to try and get the second shot with Chosen on the flank. And this is now going to be a really tough recovery for Missouri, since they solely have to rely on Fat Whale, who cannot put out enough healing.
Simply not possible for Zen to do it as the primary healing ability. There's Goblin looking for a pick in a little elevation. Pushing forward. Oh, it does get put down very low, but it's ultimately putting it back. And now it's just sort of this long-range battle here before this next fight happens. Looking for a pick, doesn't quite get it. Looking a little bit at Chosen, getting off a funny little emo. Oh, a little bit of chip damage here. Looking to get a shot through the panels. Isn't able to get it. As the main fight starts.
Threading the needle, checkpoint in sight. Missouri still playing this corner. They have to. Nice elimination. The volley comes in, and this is where Missouri needed to hold. They get the turnaround just before the checkpoint, and now with 2 minutes to go, they can start utilizing some of these ultimates that they've finally been able to accrue.
Kitsune Rush definitely going to be available in this next fight as well, as long as Lyric's ultimate. Goblin will have eyes as well going into it, but Missouri State will have enough to counter that as well if it comes down to it. Here's Chosen playing really far up with Kel. Looking for a pick. Here's Goblin also doing the same, pushing up. Have to play around this bend. Getting past the window here, negating its damage application.
Courage going down and being so separated from the team, as we saw up by that dining area, was so devastating for Missouri. Now the Flux is going to lift them up. They should be able to push these last couple of meters, even with the Immortality Field there to buy a few more seconds. They instantly pick it up with Chosen in the back, continuing to assist. Kitsune Rush active. There's a Transcendence to keep them topped up and ready. That's a lot of ultimates committed here by Boise State because they need to reach this checkpoint. Somebody's got to manage Flame Tank up top because Goblin can't do it.
Wow, this looking like getting stunted out right now. Boise State just mere 2.7 meters away from capturing the first checkpoint. And as they wind down these 50 seconds, that's all they've got. Roughly, if they engage really fast, that's enough time for maybe one fight for sure, maybe the second fight as well. Maybe enough ultimates won't be available this one as well. Gonna have to get a lot of open picks.
Yeah, Missouri is definitely not giving up right now because they've found a lot of value. The initial 60 seconds because of the cheeky play that Boise was trying to take. The over-ultimate economy usage that was on that corner didn't bode well. Tank still found value. Now with Kel attempting to get the accretion to contest this with the last 20 seconds. Damage coming in heavily onto Plato. Needs to be extremely cautious. Kel with the shield refreshing gives them a lot of opportunity to press. The double taps can't quite land though. Fast enough, almost goes down the Discord. Beautiful Immortality Field. Boise State manages to hold on by the skin of their teeth. And a Transcendence is committed as well on this by Whale.
Ooh. Putting a little style on it. Doesn't end up getting them a little bit of time here, but I doubt there will be a contest from Missouri State. That is 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, given back to Boise State. And here's Goblin going up again, elevating, looking for the shot. Is able to find a clean one here. Getting some chip damage in from Plato here at 91%.
Oh no.
The Dragons could be committed. And there's Goblin getting a pick on the Tracer. That could be an amazing opening opportunity for Boise State.
Whale is so going to want that Transcendence back. And now with these continued stagger picks coming out, and Goblin finding another one onto Flame Tank. It is now everything in favor of Boise State. They have kept them into the hotel. The wall is not lasting long. The Flux is available. It's only a few meters left to catch up. Courage has the Flux of their own, but there's nothing you can really synergize since the players are still getting back into this. But Flame Tank shuts down Goblin. That's a chance with a minute 40. Oh, but can they touch it? No, they can't get there in time.
Wow. what felt like Missouri's chance to keep themselves alive in this series. They were holding Boise State out so well at that first point. Such a different comparison to Missouri State's attack as well. Oh, and they're just not able to hold out to the very end. Boise State able to clinch it. And here's Plato. Yeah, putting a little spectacle here.
It's disgusting. That was so disgusting, those shots.
Yeah,
oh
that
my
was,
goodness.
yeah. It was nasty.
But 3-0. 3-0 again. Definitely showing Boise State is a dominant force to be reckoned with in this NACE Collegiate Overwatch region. And I mean, overall, there was a glimmer of hope in light on Circuit Royal for Missouri, but unfortunately, under the pressure towards the end of it, they fall short. And hats off to Boise State once again.
Yeah, finishing out week 3 at a 3-0 here, going 3 weeks in a row of finishing this 3-0 here and really showing out, proving their absolute ability to be a dominant force here. And the Idaho Army National Guard is a proud supporter of Boise State Esports. Top plays are presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 jobs offering a 20K bonus and a degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming.
Wow.
What a dominant performance, honestly. Especially even the sniper diff to it.
Yeah, look at it. Look at it. Yeah. Keyboard overhead. Let's go. It's exciting to see the way that they've played. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's a performance that we know Boise State to have when it comes to a lot of the variation and just a variety of compositions that they can bring to us. You touched on it as well, not only just in their hero pool, but also in their role swapping ability. I mean, as we continue to see them perform through this and what they're looking to bring, especially with collegiate coming up very, very soon, collegiate championship on the horizon as they continue to work through NACE, every little piece of information that you can gather and better yourself as a team to combat against a larger spectrum across the country is something that you really want to hold your head to.
And, you know, they got a title to defend here, especially the NACE tournament. And going into it, though, who's the player? Who's the one to end it all tonight? Boise State holding out really strong, getting 3 dubs across 3 different series, 2 different games. I'm going to go with Plato. I know there was, you know, it's nice to go with the DPS.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing. We've seen Plato before definitely get this. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise to see it, though. I would say Goblin had some really highlight moments as well when we look at least from a DPS spectrum, that there were some significant plays when it came to also combating against that Widow v. Widow duel. And as we do finally get confirmation, again, we are not the judge of the jury, so somebody else is going to be able to do it, and it's going to be Plato who gets that player of the game.
Yeah, just being such a dominating force is one. I really do like the sort of point out. I feel like both Plato and Goblin had such a standout performance. I feel like everyone sort of had a standout performance, the entirety of the team. I don't think there was really anybody that didn't have a sure sign moment that was like, oh, wow, what did they just do to this other team? But Plato is definitely a standout amongst them all. And the ICU Player of the Game is brought to you by the Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Plato is the Idaho Central Credit Union Player of the Game. GGCU, good job on getting the Player of the Game. And just looking forward to week 4 and creating the same thing. I mean, imagine going 4 weeks, 3-0 the opposition.
Wouldn't be surprised with what we've seen so far. Yeah. And again, as we continue to see what type of variations are going to be brought compositionally due to the recent patch notes, again, I like to see that there is some Reinhardt that we get into the mix. We get some Wrecking Ball that's brought into it. Still, of course, going to see the Ramatra on occasion, and most likely going to be something of consistency. It's just more so what are the moving parts that are around the Ramatra, and those are also something to really keep an eye on, and how that elevates the specific type of play going map to map or in control even round to round.
And it is refreshing not seeing their mantra as much, right? Only seeing it on one round and one map in the very beginning was nice, and it sort of shows, you know, the Boise State still has the ability to be devastating, very dominant, and have a dictatorship over the flow of the game without needing to use, you know, a main staple tank currently in the meta.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and can't wait to see what that week 4 is going to hold for them, and you know, their continued endeavors as we approach also the grander collegiate championship over the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, And as we finish out here tonight, as always, we're going to leave you the top 5 plays of the game, which are presented by the Idaho Animation Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 different jobs offering with a 20K bonus and a degree, choice, and paid for. Yourself, well, not the paying for it. The paying for part is by the Idaho National Guard, which you can reach out to them at Twitch at iGuard Gaming. Have a good rest of your night. I'm not bamboozling you this time. Enjoy the top 5 plays. Have a good rest of your night, and tune in tomorrow for some more Boys City Esports. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Chip damage not, at least 3 off the bat. Getting a little bit of backline damage as well. 3 ultimates for Boys City to choose from, and a total of 3. There's Kitsune Rush that's committed as Kelch is going to dive in. Look at the pick. Wow, is not able to die.
What? This is the fastest.
No pharmacy as well. Also, the Baptiste is going to be looking to get them in very fast here as they're waiting for this ant to come back online. And the TP play is there. Kel's already on point, splitting the team a little bit. They are not together. This is forcing out the May, the self-preserve there. Still holding on to the last one. Kel causing a lot of havoc. Getting the pin on the Diva. There's Plato down. That's the first pick. They could have an opportunity if they managed to do something the final couple seconds. Push into overtime, and the entire team is gone. And that
respawn advantage, but the problem is that they're going to have to use so many ultimates to get out of this position.
Yes.
That's the reason why Boise State are in such a strong position, because the only way that Missouri gets out of this is by committing 1 or 2 ultimates. And if Goblin keeps finding shots like this, it won't matter if they have the ultimates.
Goblin thinking really aggressive.
And they've lost both support ultimates.
Yes.
That is a tremendous loss, and with this 40 seconds left, I don't foresee Fat Wheel or OnStar being able to get that online, so they have to solely rely on Cap, which does have the Dragon Strike. Oh no, the Flux actually rises them out of it, and they get the tail end of the damage, so this gives